Hello everybody, I am Insomniac and today we're going to take a look at some of the tech for the samurai characters that I didn't know about at the time when I made the tutorials for Kensei, Shugoki, Orochi and Nobushi. The tech that I didn't know about as Kensei is he has superior block properties that I didn't demonstrate before. So if you dash, you can see how my sword glows golden for a little while. And that indicates that I have superior block properties during my dash as Kensei. So let's try to demonstrate this. So the way this works is you adjust your attack direction to your opponents and you dash into them. Basically, as you can see right here, Kensei's superior block property only happens on the startup of Kensei's dash, which means it is a different timing to the deflect. As you can see as well, the indicator for the superior block property is longer than the actual window, which makes it very misleading. And what you also see a lot of people do is you superior block into top light head splitter into guessing game with the unblockable, which is also really good. This is hard to do, but if you get this down, this is extremely effective for Kensei, as this is a really good way to guarantee your damage. So something else besides the superior block properties that Kensei has, people have also figured out a way to make Kensei's zone attack a little more useful in 1v1 situation, and this is called the backwards zone. So I have never done this before, I'm gonna be completely honest. I just know how to do it. You unlock, you look away, you do your zone attack, and then you follow it up by something like this. But there are people who are much better than that, and I don't take credit for finding this technique as someone on Reddit did. Previously in my tutorial I said that Kensei's zone attack was really not all too useful. But this is not actually the case, as if you lock off, you can hit your opponent really quickly and follow it up with a light attack. So you lock off, you do your zone attack and for example do a side light, or you can follow it up by a top light. And there is also a way on how you can make both hits of your zone attack hit, but this takes muscle memory and it is not extremely easy to do, and this is just for mixing your opponents up. That was already everything that I wanted to say about Kensei, and now we're gonna move on to Shugoki. When I did the Shugoki tutorial, I didn't know about the run 50-50 that Shugoki had. Basically, meaning that you either charge your opponent into heavy attack like this, or you guard break him for some sort of follow-up after that. And so how you do this is, you run around, get up to sprint speed, and then charge your opponent down, and as soon as you have him down, you press heavy attack and then lock onto your opponent, as that has extremely good tracking and does 40 damage every time. But this is what professional Shugoki players do. This is considered a cheesy tactic with Shugoki, but as you can see, it can be extremely effective. And then something that I wanted to say as well is, if Shugoki gets a guard break throw, and he's on the ground, there's a very small window for you to grab your opponent. I mistimed it there, but the window is really tight, but it still exists. Some other tech as well is that, if you throw your opponent, you can get a light attack guaranteed into headbutt, as your opponent is in such long recovery after your throw that you can get any light attack in on top of a headbutt, no matter in what direction you throw them, especially if you throw them into a wall. And the thing about throwing your opponent into the wall is that, previously in my tutorial I said that you would get the Demon's Embrace after a wall bounce, but you get any heavy attack depending on your stance before you throw them into a wall. Basically meaning that if I were to throw my opponent into that tree right there, I can get a side heavy or a top heavy depending on whether I was in a side or top stance before. So I throw my opponent into the wall and I get a top heavy for free. So those were the 3 things that I wanted to demonstrate with Shugoki. As at the moment, those are really important things that you can do in order to be a good Shugoki. This is not really new tech that was found with Orochi, but I have to take back one of my statements, because at the time I didn't know any better, but now that I actually got into some higher rank matchmaking and actually played some really good Orochis that were able to use this on me, I realized how wrong I was. So what I want to talk about is the Hurricane Blast. And in my tutorial I said that if there is one move that is not guaranteed, it is the Hurricane Blast. That still is true in the sense that no matter what the situation, if you go into a deflect into Hurricane Blast, your opponent can always dodge that. There's no way to guarantee this move. But I also said that this was very easy to do. But in fact, you have to be really quickly to get away from this. And I also found out that the Hurricane Blast has extremely good tracking. So even if your opponent dodges out of the way, if they do it too early, this will still hit them. And also I played against a really good Orochi who was really good at deflecting my attacks, and I was Shugoki in that fight. And he went into the deflect into Hurricane Blast, and I saw that and I dodged as Shugoki, but Shugoki's dash distance is so small that he hit me anyways, even though I reacted to it and dodged out of the way. Now, I wasn't recording at the time, so I can't really show you proof of this, but this is what happened to me. I don't know if Shugoki can backroll that. I would imagine he cannot, but the Hurricane Blast is a lot better than I thought it was, and I wanted to share that with you. And as well, I also wanted to say that Orochi has some really high damage if he can do it properly. What I mean by that is, if I get my opponent at the stamina and I side throw, I get 2 guaranteed top heavies for that, which is a lot of damage. I think that's like 70 damage or something. There's also that you can do a wind gust, but many Orochis chain that wind gust into a side light attack because that is really fast, and that would look something like this. Obviously this side light attack is not guaranteed, but it is really quick. And now we have Nobushi. So there's not really tech that I didn't know about at the time of making the Nobushi tutorial, but I still wanted to share the maximum damage that you can get after a out of stamina throw as Nobushi. So the maximum damage that Nobushi gets after guard break is guard break, throw into light into top heavy, which does a total of 71 damage. So that was everything that I wanted to show you. I hope you enjoyed the video and learned something, and if you did, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe for similar content to this video. But as always, I hope you enjoyed. Thanks again so much for watching. Hope I'll see you next time. Take care.